Something we hear a lot is our yard is small, we don't see potential, we don't know what we want to do with the space or what even we can do. But actual square footage isn't always an issue. It really comes down to the design. In a limited footprint, every decision carries so much more weight. The wrong layout, oversized features, or even too many level changes can make your yard feel even smaller than it already is. But when a small yard is designed correctly, it doesn't feel overcrowded. It feels intentional, usable, and elevated. Now, my first tip to all of my clients who have limited space is bring your wish list and bring your scissors, because we're gonna definitely have to do some ruthless editing to bring this down to size. The most common mistake we see is that so many clients need to go through that process to understand that as much as I would love to include every single item on my wish list, not only will that lead to a higher budget, but it's actually gonna downgrade the space and the design. A small yard typically cannot accommodate everything that may be on your wish list. So that may seem like a downer, but I always say focus on the positive. Think of all the money you'll be saving by not having unlimited square feet and really choose from your lifestyle. It may be nice to have an oversized spa and a pool and a sunken seating and a covered patio. But do you really need all these items in your space? What I found, especially in small spaces, is that covered patios are typically not necessary. Especially in tract homes, the other surrounding neighbors, or even if your home has a built-in California room, there is enough shade as the sun shifts to not justify having to build a whole separate structure. Standalone structures are quite expensive, so even sometimes we can get away with using a tree to cast shade over a seating area, but really being ruthless in deciding which items can stay and which items are justified to be here. And if you do have a really tight space, you can also consider combining certain elements. There's a word that we don't use too much, and it's a spool. It's a combination spa pool, and it really doubles as both. The great thing about it is that it heats up really quickly, so you get a lot more year-round use out of it. And it's not large enough to be considered a swimming pool, but also too large to be considered a traditional spa. And then once again, if it's designed artistically, it can almost look like this large, gorgeous water feature that's just a central part of your yard. It comes down to ruthless editing. The second principle we always want to think about is scale. Now, scale is something that when it's done correctly, you don't ever notice it. As many of you know, we are based in Orange County, California, which is also the home of Disneyland, a place that I grew up going to all my life. And for any of you that have been walking down Main Street, Disneyland, it's a pretty well-known fact that the second story of Main Street is at a smaller scale than the real world. Now, as you're walking down that street, you can't notice it at all. You just feel, oh, this is a really cozy, welcoming, inviting space that really just draws your eye down to the focal point, which is the Disneyland Castle. Now, what does that have to do with your yard? So there are times where it's the best practice to play with scale just like that in your backyard. For example, let's say you're really in love with having a day bed that's by water. Maybe you don't get a large size one, which would be a full or queen size mattress, and you do a twin size. Now in another space, this could appear really small, but maybe it's the perfect fit if it's just sitting on the edge of the water, and you're actually going to not even notice that it is small given all the things around it. And this applies to every single element that is chosen, even down to the plants. For example, there's a type of shrub called a little ollie, which almost looks like a bonsai version of an olive tree. And let's say you really love the look of olive trees, you don't have the space for it. Well, this is something that will never grow into a full olive tree. It's almost that miniature version of something, and in the correct space, it could be the perfect match. And the final tip is choosing the focal point to be the farthest distant possible that it can be. Now, let's say you have a shoebox type yard. That means that you have maybe 15 feet from the back of your house to the back wall. But maybe it's actually quite wide. Just think of shoebox dimensions. In that case, it may be wise to have the focal point, instead of it being right on that back wall, to actually be on either corner. So depending on where the back doors are, as you step out, you actually come into the backyard and you either look to the left or the right at the farthest point, and that is where the focal point is. Once again, emphasizing the farthest possible point away from your standing, creating a sense of depth even if it's a bit of an illusion and a sense of spaciousness. We design a lot of small yard spaces, and they're some of our most impressive transformations. If you want to see more of these, make sure you're subscribed. A small yard doesn't limit what's possible for your space, but it's important that you work with a designer that has worked on multiple small spaces, that knows how to maximize the potential that your yard has, and to help make sure that you don't make wrong choices along the way that you'll later regret. And if you want to start the process for your own yard, book a consultation using the link below. And if you'd like to see more design reveals and more behind the scenes breakdowns, you can join our email list. We share our new projects weekly, and that link is also below.